Hi, I'm Nancy Evans and I'm BCMG's Director of Learning and Participation. A typical week for me is really varied. I might be planning and leading a workshop with children, supporting them to compose. I will be attending both internal and external meetings, both that's sort of the senior management team, the learning team. Like this morning, I was at Birmingham Music Education Partnership, which is a partnership of many music organisations in the city who work together to support young people's music education. I might be meeting external partners, such as our partner Sound and Music, or meeting with project managers for particular projects. Also the usual sort of things of looking at budgets, thinking about which artists are working which projects and that kind of thing. Well, I'll start from the beginning. I started playing cornet about 9 years old, and I was playing in brass bands for a lot of my youth, but then also I started playing in a lot of jazz orchestras and big bands, and that took me all around, touring in Europe as well as doing lots of concerts locally. I then went to study classical trumpet at the Royal Northern College of Music, where I was there for 4 years. And while I was there, I got involved in their outreach program. Well, not their outreach program, actually, the outreach program of the Halley Orchestra. And I went in with the composer James Macmillan into secondary schools in Hyde, supporting the children to compose there, inspired by the composer Lutoslawski. And that really showed me that there was other kinds of roles within music that I might do. After that, I went and I taught primary music and brass at a school in the Palestinian territories in the Middle East, at a school out there, and at what's now called the Edward Said National Conservatoire of Music. And I spent 3 years there. After that, I came back and I studied for a Masters in Community Music at York University, after which I briefly worked for the CBSO, that's the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra, as their education officer, an acting education manager, after which I got this what was a part-time job at BCMG, actually it's still part-time, as their education manager, which turned into the Director of Learning and Participation. And for many years I was also working as an early years music specialist in a whole range of nurseries and early years settings in the city. I think my favourite part of the job is the absolute variety. So 1 minute I'm working with 8-year-olds to compose their own music, and the next I'm talking with academics about how you do that and really analysing that in great depth. And I also love creating resources for our online resource website. I did a lot of that over the lockdown. Least favourite, I'm sure you're getting lots of similar answers here, but I think probably making sure the budget all lines up, collecting the data. It's very necessary that we collect data for our funding, but it can be really laborious, finding it, adding it all up and all of that kind of thing. So that's not my favourite part at all. So when I was 16, and I was playing the trumpet and the cornet in so many different bands. I was really busy. It was really fantastic. But what I wasn't doing was I wasn't looking after my body physically. And not long after that, I developed a bad back. And I never managed to shake it off all the way throughout college. So if I was to go back to talk to my 16-year-old self, I would tell myself to really look after my physical health, and that, doing swimming, doing Pilates should absolutely be part of what it is to play an instrument. Looking after your body, look like an athlete would look after their body. And at that time, I don't think much was known about that, and there wasn't much support for that. So it would be really to look after my physical muscle strength, to give me that ability to play in long rehearsals, because eventually that was one of the reasons why I didn't go down the performance route. It wasn't the only reason, but it was one of the reasons that I didn't become a performer, and instead I'm working much more with the kind of creative side of music.